Welcome everybody to the World of Ability Podcast Network. My name is Emily Gulmer and I'm a podcast engineer here. And excited to bring you another episode of Revolutionize Your Marketing with Mill City Marketing MA that we've been doing for the last little while here. And I'd love to have everybody come on join us as a guest. So let us or join us. So please let us know if you are interested in that. And we are here every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central. And also like to have everybody check out our social media as well. LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and so on. And just as the title sounds, it's all about marketing and being able to go out there and promote your organization and marketing and new ways to get yourself out there and so on. But with nothing further ado, I'm going to pass this over to John to kick us off and our great guest today. So welcome, John. You're on mute. Oh, John, you're on mute.
That's good. You guys didn't hear my phone ring. Forgot to put it on mute. It's good to be here again, and like every week. And I want to thank everybody who's viewing us now or viewing the replays on YouTube. Thank you for joining us on the social media platforms where this is being live streamed. And today I have a special guest, Brian Nagel. I hope I pronounced that right. Welcome, Brian.
There we go, unmuted. And the name, John, shouldn't be confusing, but you know, it is to people. So it's Brian Nagel.
Nagel.
Brian Nagel.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Thank God it's not more than 5 letters. Okay. So anyway, no, John, it's glad to be here. I'm glad you and I have connected on social media. I think what you do is wonderful, and you're helping small businesses and startups really get the word out there. So I think that's a phenomenal service that you perform. So, John, as a background, since I love your New England accent, I spent 13 years in the late 60s to the early 80s in Massachusetts, and I covered a lot of ground, John. I went to high school in Acton and Sudbury, graduate of Lincoln Sudbury, worked at Liberty Mutual in Boston, and graduated from UMass out in Amherst. And in between there, I was one of the survivors of the blizzard of 78 that paralyzed the complete eastern seaboard of Massachusetts. So, you know.
I remember that well.
And so after graduating UMass, I started in like a week and a half with American Airlines in commercial finance or corporate finance down in Fort Worth, Texas. So, and my specialty was on their food service side with their subsidiary Sky Chefs. And I stayed in aviation management for 13, 14, almost 14 years. And then I was introduced to a couple of people that said, boy, you're in the wrong career. There, you should be in business development or sales and marketing. So I mid 90s started in business development 2000, a person that had worked with me um, referred me to this other company, and that got me started on financing small businesses. So I work for what they call factoring companies, where businesses sell their invoices to increase their cash flow. It's a very ordinary transaction in the commercial finance world. And then more recently, I've gotten into trades financing with secured and unsecured lines of credit. And in a sideline, which was a full-time job for 5 years, I helped over 150 nurses start their own first-year $1 million nurse staffing agencies. And I built a, you wind up doing a lot of coaching. You don't expect to, but you wind up doing that because people that are clinicians are not necessarily entrepreneurs, and you're trying to help them be able to cross that bridge into entrepreneurship. So I did a lot of coaching and mentoring. Had one client in her first year hit 5 million. And then I had another client that within 39 months went to $13.4 million. Okay.
Okay.
So, um, sometimes you're given a gift, John, that you don't immediately recognize. But I love helping people. I love fostering connections. I love helping them to move to the next step. And many of these nurses that I connected with, I found off of social media, and many were from the minority communities. A lot of them, quite frankly, single moms, young families, um, and a number of them lost their children to either violence or drug overdoses. So people that were living challenged lives, that got into nursing to raise their standard of living, and then they found Brian Nagel, and they found, oh, I could start a business and create generational income. And that was a great business for 5 years. And then 2024, the rug got pulled out from under. So the government didn't have the money um, to provide reimbursements at the rate they were back in 2021, 22. So a lot of businesses are either on life support, standstill, or people have gone back to just working as nurses, which is a shame. And John, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. I've talked to 3 businesses in the last 90 days that were over 150 million. One of them is out of business. 2 others are on life support. And one, the owner just walked away, said, you know what? I'm done. They lost their lease for non-payment of rent. And it was John, it was close to a $300 million agency. So, it's amazing. And I think you and I have both learned that sometimes, it's not how often you get knocked down, it's how often you get back up. And you realize that in order to make a living, you have to pivot. So, I still finance businesses, but now, due to some recent calls I've had and requests to help business owners get back on track, I'm building a little bit of a coaching business. So I put together a package where I coach them an hour a week for 5 weeks at an introductory rate of $750, and I'm sharing strategies that are immediately applicable, and that, if they do this right, they're going to be able to resurrect their businesses and be able to exceed their volumes. And really, they should be able to double their volumes within 12 months. So I love what I do. I love helping people. Um, and I it just and because of the nature of the relationships, you wind up becoming much more than a business relationship. You wind up really being a small business advisor. You learn about their families. Um, and sometimes, a lot of times you're empathizing with what people are going through, and you're realizing the challenges they have. So you you're trying to build a business, but you're dealing with people's lives. And it's important. It's always important to do the right thing, you know. So
Yeah.
um that's a bit of my background. And now I'm looking for opportunities to help businesses not only grow but be able to lower their cost as they're growing. Because business owners are so busy trying to bring revenue in the door, they don't really have the time to examine everything that's feeding their bottom line, and they really need outside help. So I'm adding that to my portfolio as well. So now I am down in Winter Park, Florida, just outside of Orlando, and I find it's much easier to shovel 3 feet of sunshine than it is 3 feet of snow. Okay, so
Yeah,
so
New England is known for that.
yes, sir. No, I mean, it was a great time. The scenery, my my nieces and nephews, and still send me pictures of the scenery as it changes in the fall, and it's beautiful. But I'd much rather attend a football game in 85-degree weather than 18-degree weather. So so that
Sometimes the cold makes it worth it, though.
yeah, no, well, right. Although now that Tom Brady has left the Patriots, it's going to be a minute before they had a nice 20-year run,
Yeah.
and I was fortunate to be able to watch Brady perform with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I had season tickets for a little while, and he I tell you, the man is amazing. He's so dialed in on what he has to do, and he's a great example for business leaders about focusing on what everything you need to do to get the right end result.
Yeah.
So, you know, so what questions can I answer, John, or what do you think your viewers would like to hear about my business?
Well, one question I was thinking of was the finances of business. You said you research into the businesses and find out where they can save money at. Where's one of the
Okay,
places?
so let me elaborate on that a little bit. I have connected with two services that one of them focuses on service companies and healthcare companies, um, businesses and logistics. So businesses that use a vast amount of wireless devices. For example, I met with a company down here last week. They use over 850 wireless devices. They're an air conditioning, heating, and electric company. And they have every one of their employees using the company provided devices rather than the employee's own phones. Um, and that takes on a special meaning in healthcare, because in healthcare, with the HIPAA rules, you're going to get sued if somebody has access to data that is not supposed to. And so when you have nurses that go out, you got people working bedsides, you can't afford to have them using devices where the data could be exposed or that somebody else could capture it. So the wireless guys, they don't provide equipment, they don't provide the wireless networks. What they provide is an accounting and that audit process, which is a proprietary algorithm. And the end result of that process is double-digit savings for the client company without having to change carriers or equipment. And no upfront cost. And the savings, John, can be big. That HVAC company,
Yeah.
savings are going to be between $80,000 and $100,000. Okay, so that's one example. Another is company that is a transportation manufacturer and distribution across the country of flooring, and they compete like with the Mohawk flooring, Mohawk carpets. You know, I'm sure you've seen the Empire commercials. They're
Yeah.
always so musically, they're very memorable. But so this company operates in that space. They happen to use a little over 3,000 devices nationwide, and they are saving over $700,000 a year. So, as a business professional, I don't have access to all those companies. So, I really, and this is a great time to bring this up, I'm looking for professional referral partners, people that want to that know those type of companies, want to refer them, do the right thing by the company, and in the meantime, we'll send them a check every month as a referral partner, and those checks add up. So 20 accounts could be 20 to $60,000. Okay, in the aggregate. And then the second vehicle is there's a program that is federal, but administered at the state level, and it's called WOTC, or Work Opportunity Tax Credit. It's really geared towards businesses that have naturally high turnover of employees. And by hiring people from targeted categories, long-term veteran unemployed, long-term unemployed, minority unemployed, people that they're trying to get off the public rolls so that it brings down the cost of government, if you will. So the government will reward the employer with additional tax benefits. That's called WOTC, or people refer to it as WOTC. So Work Opportunity Tax Credit. And then, so I kind of look for underserved markets, people that may not be catching a break, and that there's something out there that's already in play for them. And all I need to do is connect them with the service or the program. And then I get rewarded from the provider side, not from the client side. So my services are always free to the client.
Okay. All right, I got that. There was another question I came up with that I was going to ask, and it skipped my mind.
No, that's okay. And let me throw in another area for business and healthcare facilities that bill health, Medicaid, Medicare, and insurance companies. If they're doing over 40,000 a week in billing, I have financing available for them. That also includes home health agencies that would be billing Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance companies as well. So, and the additional cash flow allows them to cover expenses, allows them to hire more employees, allows them to be able to continue to use a term that's popular in finance, scale their business, be able to grow their business, without having to incur a large singular cost to do that. And with these financing types, it's much more flexible than trying to get a bank line or a bank loan. And when all of a sudden you grow again, now you got to go back to the bank. Where these companies I'm working with, no matter what that growth is, they're there to cover those financing costs.
Now, would that include if a business needed help with marketing?
Well,
Is it,
it depends on who's being invoiced. Okay. That is in fact a key component here is, who's the marketing business billing? Okay. So, it's, and financials speak everything. So if they're going to loan money, they want to know that the business they're loaning to is a solid business, surviving and doing, a decent amount of revenue. But I'm happy. Here's the next thing. Anybody can call me anytime. Always best to text me first, but I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody about any particular needs in financing. I may or may not be the right solution, but I usually can. If there's a solution there, I'm gonna know about it.
okay.
Okay.
Because I find companies that are looking for marketing, which I can do, but they have the problem with coming up with the financing to do it.
Well, if they're that tight, then the question is, what's the reason that they're having trouble coming up with the money? Are they using it for something else? Are they just not seeing the revenues? And if they go spend that money on the marketing, how quickly would they get a return on it? Are there strategies that they can implement to gain customers almost immediately? Or is it a longer term play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I asked John, I ask a lot of questions. I want to know about the client. I really need to know what they're looking to get out of the relationship and where they're looking to be. Some people, I want to grow it and sell it. Okay. And in healthcare staffing, boy, that was, people wanted to grow it to $4, $5, $8, $10 million and then just flip it. Because that's a 24/7 business.
Yeah.
Somebody calls out at 2 a.m. in the morning, somebody's texting their phone to find a replacement for 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like what I do. I try to help out the smaller businesses because they're the ones that are hurting the most from COVID. And I've seen too many of them up around here that never came back from COVID, and some that did had to close because they couldn't get their customer base back. So my ultimate goal is helping out the smaller businesses, building up their client base back up. So if something like that happens again, the customers will come back.
So I have a suggestion, John.
Mm-hmm.
Two suggestions actually. One, creating a complementary product or service to their main line so that they can get more money from the same customer base. Okay. If somebody's inclined to buy one thing and there's a complementary product that fits the needs, now it's less of a jump to make that purchase for the complementary product. So
Yeah.
that, 2 for 1. And then it's really looking at trends. So if a business can say, remember during the war, you and I have been around for a minute, and this is actually pre me, yeah, pre my parents thinking about who I was going to be. But in World War II, a lot of the automobile manufacturers, when they stopped selling cars in the US during the war, because the metal shortage was going to the military.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of the automobile manufacturers started building ships or airplanes. Wasn't a main line, but it was a pivot in their product mix that allowed them to stay relevant and be able to make their financials. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So so you gotta look. You cannot live with your head in the sand. You have to be recognizing what's going on in the world around you and what can you begin to offer that's going to be attractive to a new customer base that is not going to cause you to lose your main line. Unless, of course, maybe your main line becomes obsolete, in which case now you want to put your resources to the new line as quickly as you can. Okay. I mean, look
Yeah.
at Blockbuster Video, right? That whole industry went down the line, So it's thinking and look at Amazon. Amazon started out as a book company and all the and today they're just delivering everything. So, so I would, and as I said, I'm open to anybody, anytime. Um, I've got lots of ideas. Many of them come to me in the middle of the night, but I'm usually, John, I'm always thinking. Even when we talked about the marketing just now, it
Yeah.
was what could I contribute and what might make sense to a small business that they could create additional revenue without exhausting them financially.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's
that's
a
the
one of
gospel according to Brian.
that's why when I talk with a client, I find out first what their biggest service or what their biggest product is that sells the most. And then when I'm doing ads, I base the ads upon whatever that item or service is. Because if that's what they're selling the most of, that's where most of their customers are coming from.
Right.
If that's what's selling the most, there's other people out there that would be interested in the same thing.
And not only that, but if there's a complementary to what that product is, now it doesn't seem so intrusive or it doesn't seem like, oh my God, why are they starting to sell this? If you could fit two things together in your home or service or your business that you'd want, now you're happy that company provided those.
Yeah.
I agree. Are we a little over time here?
No, we actually have until 6 if you want to go that long.
All right. Well, I just, I think it's important that people know how to contact me. We can do that. I don't, I've had some great client successes. As I mentioned, the woman that in 39 months. Went from a startup to 13.4 million. She and I spent 3 to 5 hours a week on the phone for the first 7 minutes. First 7 months that she was a client of mine. Okay. And I answer my wife doesn't like this, but I typically answer my phone 24/7. So I know weekends are there, and my wife shuttles back and forth between Florida and the Northeast. But when I'm available, I am happy to I am happy to make myself available to clients and or prospects. If people have, a question that they might have an interest in what I do, I'm happy to explore that with them. And I got into the 24/7 dealing with the nurses, that many nurses were working overnight shift. So to cover their bills when they were starting their staffing companies. So, if they're working overnight, I have to work overnight. So,
Yeah.
okay. So WaverlyResources.com, WAVERLY resources.com. Brian Nagel, I am the CEO. And the best number to reach me is still my Long Island number, 516-680-1304. Okay, and our website has our service offerings. And no matter what questions your listeners have, I am happy to answer those. Okay.
All right.
And should you think of any follow-up questions, please email me. I'll get your response, and then you can add that as you need to.
Okay.
All right. Oh, we have Kurt.
Good. Any questions for, I guess, Kurt is what I call my co-host. He's the one who runs this whole network.
Hi, Kurt. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Thanks for being on the show. This is
Oh no, it's my pleasure. And where are you based?
Milwaukee.
Okay, so okay. How's the weather up there? Is it snowing there today?
Not that I know of. It's cold enough, maybe up north there, hey, but northern Wisconsin, it's 47 degrees right
Are
where
you
I'm sitting
originally from
outside.
Canada? Are you
Me,
Kurt? Are you
no,
originally no?
no.
Boy, that accent comes really close to Canada, boy.
Yeah, I've got some friends up there in Canada, and we work with the Disability Channel that's based out of Toronto,
Okay.
Canada.
Yeah,
So
I had clients in London, Ontario. Love Toronto. Yeah, I stayed in a hotel in Niagara Falls one evening on my way to Toronto from Long Island. I drove rather than flying, and I woke up and I'm hearing this noise, and as I looked out my window, there's the falls right below me. That was a little unnerving.
yeah, I guess so. So, Brian, I've got a question for you. I'm hearing your conversation in a particular area, and I'm coming in from outside of the discussion so far. But I'm thinking in terms of organizations, like I guess, first of all, do you have any nonprofit clients?
Well, that's more challenging
Yeah, it is.
because and have you ever heard of SCORE,
Yes.
Society of Retired Engineers or
Yep.
Retired Executives?
Yep.
There you go. They may have some better resources that align to nonprofits. because the financing partners that I work with are non-bank. If somebody's finance is that good, they're usually with larger, lower cost banking relationships. I tend to get the people that may not be banking eligible. And like, for example, I have a unsecured trades line from 50,000 to 3 million. Company's got to be in business for 2 years and be doing at least $1 million a year. But that's 2% of the invoice amount, of the purchase amount every month. So that's a lot different than 7, 8, 9% APR from a bank. Does that make sense? And most nonprofits are going to be looking for the lowest available cost of financing. And the next thing, Kurt, is these financing programs are all geared towards knowing that they're going to get paid back. So they want to have security with the what's known as the end debtor. Who's the person that's, somebody needs money. They need money to purchase goods. All right, well, the people they're purchasing goods from, what's their credit worthiness? So I can answer a lot of questions where I may not be the solution. All right, but I would look for, and even grants. Have you guys investigated grants on the nonprofit side?
Oh yeah, that's all the time part of the field, but basically I just get in conversations. Like, I'm big on events, like here, revolutionize your marketing. I love marketing through technology and events. And so when I'm helping these nonprofits, there's always this this challenge that executive directors and boards of nonprofits have, is that they would love to do an event, but they're doing it as a fundraiser, and they pretty much, it's like they need the funds raised from the fundraiser to pay for the event. So it's like a chicken and the egg thing. How do you?
Yeah, I believe we refer to it as a catch-22.
Yeah, exactly. So I just thought, with these events, it's like, if we can have, nonprofits are a business, but you're saying
Yeah,
because
that they are, but their margins are so low, and the word itself, nonprofit, they're supposed to not make a profit.
Right.
Okay, so whereas the companies I'm looking for are looking for companies that want to make larger profits. They want a loan against the potential growth of that business. Okay,
Well,
so that's
there's a misnomer there, Brian, and we need to fix this in the business community, because what's happening with these nonprofits is that they reside in a location, but they're addressing a national issue. And their mission suggests that on a nonprofit basis they can grow to serve all 50 states. So we're kind of speaking death into what nonprofits can grow to do, because we're not supposed to make all it is when you make the profit, reinvest it in your mission.
well. Here's the next thing about nonprofit. There's nobody in there that can sign a personal guarantee. Okay, there's
Okay.
nobody
Yeah.
that's going to stand up and be responsible for the money borrowed.
Gotcha.
Okay, so when a funding company loans money, they want to know that if the end debtor doesn't pay the bill, that they got somebody to look to that's going to be responsible for that money. So in my world, most of these companies are signing personal guarantees. Now, the trades financing again, is for trades, special projects, large purchases, where their financials are going to be the thing that gets them approved or not. Okay, and that is unsecured. So there's no personal guarantee on that. But again, and they're looking. So here's the last shoe to drop on that. They're looking for repayment within 90 to 120 days. So it's not a year, 2 year, 3 year loan. They're looking for payment within 3 to 4 months. So special projects, large purchases, where the company borrowing the money is going to do something with that purchase, like install air conditioning or heating or plumbing or electrical, and then get paid from the contractor so that they can pay down that line before it gets to 120 days.
Now,
All right.
yeah, what is the quickest that, you know, a need for a loan can be? Like, can you have somebody like on a day like today, you know, say, Brian, I need a loan and I need to be able to have this go through so that I can do my business on Tuesday. So you basically have the business day on Monday to make it happen. Is that even possible?
And there are people online that say they can do that, but in my world, most of these loans need to be underwritten. So that could be a 2 to 4 week process.
Gotcha.
No, not a 2 to 4 day. Um, so you know, it really, it's, I hate to say it's like buying a house, but the steps involved are pretty close to that. And there is a lot that goes into getting people approved.
Yeah.
Unless again, there's mitigating circumstances like that trade lines where they're going to be buying something. If they're working on a subdivision and they're installing 150 AC systems in the next 90 days, well, they can, once that line is in place. So here's another thing. Once that line is in place and the lender's got a relationship, they may get that money as soon as 72 to 96 hours. Okay. So once the lender is comfortable, has done their initial due diligence, that changes the rules of the game. So these aren't, you know, they're not looking for one-stop shop. They're looking for an ongoing lending relationship with the client.
Yeah.
Is that a little better clarification?
Yeah. Yep. That really helps shape this up for what's happening in your world. And, you know, in terms of you responding to my question and adding some other things. Yeah, good stuff. I'm wanting to ask, with your brand, the name that's in your brand, Waverly, like why is the brand Waverly? Where did that ever come from?
Okay, I'm gonna. It's the name of the street that our house in New York is on.
Okay,
Okay.
right. You sound kind of like John, you know, with his company, you know, putting MA at the end, you know. So very good.
Yeah, no, and you know, it's a name that rolls off the tongue. It's easy to remember. And when you're putting resources in there, it allows me to market a broader spectrum of services. You know, if I put Waverly Funding in there and I'm offering these like expense reduction programs, the two don't really match up, right? You know, but when I put resources, I can now say, you know, we want to offer seamless financing solutions and business savings programs, you know.
So to keep on with your name, I noticed that you know, you're just not declaring that your business finance. You chose to, you know, give it that little polishing
Well,
touch.
well, look underneath though.
No, that's what I'm
Business,
saying is
business,
that you could have
business
stopped at
finance simplified, right?
That's what I'm saying. You could have stopped at business finance, but no, you added that third word. And I'm figuring that, it's a very strategic,
It
element.
was.
Yeah.
Kurt, I'm always looking for pattern interrupters. Okay.
Yep.
So when somebody reads that third word, simplified, it kind of changes their thought process. You know, um, I had business cards made um, uh, with the logo the way it is and the colors. And the woman that was selling these cards to me, and I didn't go online to, Vistaprint or something else. I went to a Minuteman Press, like the largest shop in Central Florida, because I wanted some input from the people that were making them. And so she gave me this card that has a little bit like a velvet touch. Okay. And she's like, here's why you want these cards. Forget the fact that it's an extra $20. It's really about when people touch the card, their brain changes. Okay. So because when you touch a regular, business card that's white and, not anything fancy, it just sort of, like, well, you can't really see this, but it doesn't do anything for you to stimulate any brain neurons, right? But when you put a card that, can you see that?
Yeah. When you hold it in front of you, we can see it. Yeah. Yeah. You're good
Okay,
there.
good. All
Yep.
right. And then I put my services on the back so that because one-sided cards always get put in drawers and you never hear from people. But again, when you put your services on the back, now it's like, okay, what did that guy do? And now and the card is so distinctive, it's going to stick out when people are researching it. So, Kurt, you're right. I, I, I am very open to hear about people's thought process and doing things strategically. Even when it comes to my clients, I'm always advising them to do things in a strategic manner. They don't want to be a commodity. They really want to be a memorable specific and be able to reach out to clients in a way that their competitors don't. You know, um, and I'm going to have a wonderful opportunity in the next 12 months to teach a lot of people how to do that in the nurse staffing world. Um, I'm going to see myself now being a coach for fledgling nurse staffing agencies that want to get back on track and be able to grow their businesses. You know, so um, it's and that, as I said, that industry kind of collapsed in 2024 in the standard per. What do you know what per diem staffing is, Kurt?
Well, per diem is per day, right?
Yeah, so
So,
a nurse
you staff
staffing
per day.
agency that gets a call from a nursing home or a hospital and they had a call out at their 7 a.m. So now they need to fill that shift. They're going to reach out to a staffing agency just to get somebody to cover that shifts. Or if that somebody is away out for a weekend or a week on vacation, they may need to block that shift for a week. All right. But that's per diem. But that really has gone away. So I'm now teaching people to do what's called contract to hire. where they can go out to those facilities that are advertising on LinkedIn and Indeed and represent themselves as a recruiting agency that can handle the, facilities needs. And now what they do is, rather than scheduling, trying to do per diem and getting beaten up with 50 other agencies, all contracting for per diem, no, go in and market yourself as the agency that can recruit to fill their permanent needs. And in the meantime, we can provide people on 13-week contracts. And at the end of 13 weeks, they roll over to the facility at no charge. So now over those 13 weeks, they get a better markup than the per diem folks. They get a 13-week contract. So they're going to have guaranteed revenue for that 13 weeks. Now they got to keep replacing that. But if they don't do that, they're not going to have a business. Okay. So, I am telling you, I'd love to say this is genius and I'm really friggin' smart. And my God, that's like a fabulous idea. Hindsight's 2020, especially 40 years of it. Okay. So, I'm just sharing. Look at it this way. I'm sharing best practices with my client base, and
Yep.
I want to, if I'm going to make money, I want to help them make money, so, and I got to be able to offer that value that other people, they could go to other coaches. Nobody's going to offer them the stuff I do. I am different. I'm a bit of a unicorn. Okay. Not better or worse. I'm just a unicorn. But the stuff that I offer people is actionable. They can implement it right away. And really within 3 to 4 weeks can start seeing meaningful results and help them go out and double their businesses. So that's kind of what I'm about, Kurt. And by the way, look me up on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got 14,000 friends on LinkedIn. Okay.
Very good.
Just a few. But I bet, as I said to John, I've been around since God was a child. Okay. So
Very good. Very good. That's experience right there. All right. Yeah, John, go ahead.
And here's the thing. Everybody deserves respect. And the only difference between these folks and me is I really have more experience, but they are trying to build businesses at a younger age. So they're taking the high risk. All I'm doing is kind of, and I tell every one of them this, they're the ones with the horsepower. They're the ones, they're the engine of the boat. I'm just helping them steer. Okay. So, but do they need that help steering? You bet your caboose. Okay. Because otherwise they're going to hit the rocks, So it just, but I will tell you this, Kurt, you're not going to find many people at 70 that are as energetic as I am. Okay.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah. So John, I'm looking at Brian's background and I'm getting this sensation like that's my brain matter. It's like oh man. So John, where do you want to take this? We're at your conclusion here. So where are we going?
Well, Brian, why don't you come back and say again how people can get a hold of you if they want,
Absolutely.
that are
If
listening.
they want, if they need.
If
Come
they
on,
need.
John, if they
Sorry
need.
about that.
Listen, how many other people have you met this week that have helped somebody go from startup to 13.4 million in 39 months? Not many. Okay. Yeah, no. So my skill set is identifying people's strengths, helping them build upon those strengths, spend less time on the weaknesses, more time focused on capitalizing what they do best. Okay. So you can reach me through waverlyresources.com, Brian at waverlyresources.com, and 516-680-1304.
Okay, all right.
All right.
So if any businesses out there are looking for any of the information that Brian has, feel free to get a hold of him at those sites that he just gave, or text him at that phone number, 516-680-1304. Text him first.
And if they forget that, just call 911.
And say, I need Brian Nagel. Come on now. Wow, we're gonna cause a
Oh,
stir. This will
Kurt.
be on news coverage.
There you go.
Kurt, I'm glad I made your weekend.
That's right. What a way to start November. November to remember right here at
There we go, buddy.
Revolutionize Your Marketing. Here we go.
Gentlemen,
Making
thank you
history.
so much for having me today.
You're very welcome.
Have
welcome,
a great weekend. And John, I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Okay, you will.
And by the way, here's the next thing. Feel free if you guys can say, hey, Brian, could you connect me with so and so, or let me help. Look to me. Feel free to contact me if I can assist you in any way. Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Will
Thank
do.
you guys. Have a great
Thank you,
weekend.
Brian. Have a good
Bye
weekend.
bye.
Yep. Bye, Brian. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, I think that should do it for tonight. Until next week, when my guest is Mr. Steve Kent, another financial person.
Yeah, Steve is good. I like Steve. He's a good guy.
You'll like it even better the week before Christmas. Good.
Right. Just keeps getting better right here. Revolutionize your marketing. We're revolutionizing show business.
I have a couple of book promotions coming up.
Okay.
Like the week after Steve is our friend Janelle coming back.
Well, I hope you keep reading. You keep bringing in all these books. You got to read them all, right?
I just had a conversation with another person a couple days ago who has a book that she's got a lot of details in, but she doesn't want to do the podcast. Her loss.
Yeah. Well, what you got to do, John, is you got to offer them that if they don't want to come on a podcast, do they have any material that they would want you, Emily, and me to do on their behalf? Because maybe they're just not into, coming on the screen like this or talking, but they provide us content, we could do it on their behalf.
I could get back in touch with her with that.
Sure. All right, Emily, what do you got? It's outro time.
And sorry if I disappeared there for a little bit, but my computer went black.
That's all right. We call that the Jack in the Box moment.
So it came back on my phone.
All right. All right, Emily, take us on out of here.
Thank you to Brian for joining us today. And as always, we are here every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central. I'd love to have everybody join us. Thank you to Brian and everybody else who's able to tune in today. And encourage everybody to join us on the show, and to check out social, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and so on, and all of our other organizations that we're working with, like Destroying the Disability Channel, Marketers Target of Transforming Media, That Clan of the Fact Channel, Lawrence Wingate Studios, and Earl Williams of the Midwest Plans on podcast for all the great work that they're doing. But until next time, hope everybody
Wait,
has.
hold on, Emily. Emily, just I want to pop out where this network is emerging to. We now have People for a New America, FANA, that acronym is pronounced PFANA. We're doing some productions with them, with their music festival, series and their tour and the birth of a movement. And we also have the Stu and Lori Variety Hour, S&L TV. And we're actually in talks with Bravehearts TV. So that's just more of a shout out. Shout out to all of our friends there at Bravehearts TV. And then we have this emergence into new reality TV shows. We have Treasure Island, and we have Our Kids, and that Our Kids program is going to fold out to our vets and our pets, and it's going to be quite a future here at the World of Ability Podcast Network. All right, Emily, now it's time. You can close us out. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'll see everybody next time.